When I was a little boy, probably around 8, 9 years old, I lived on Charles Street in Philadelphia, 7127 Charles Street, in a row home in Northeast Philadelphia with lots of row homes. And I remember sitting on my front stoop, which actually was a stoop that we shared with the McShanes next door, very Irish community. And I remember sitting on that step, looking at the world, which really was the other row homes across the street. But sitting there feeling like, what will I become? Who will I become in this world? I was I was small, not like Nate or Luke. I was very tiny. I was diminutive. And most importantly, I wasn't like any of the other boys in the neighborhood. I wasn't like my brother, my older brother, who was very athletic. And I wasn't like all of his friends. And I didn't have that many friends because I was just so different. I had a lot of friends who were girls because the girls all loved to listen to me sing. And I would sit and play my big guitar. But I would sit there just wondering where was I going to end up in the world, because it was really hard to be different. And then I met a boy like me, and the whole world changed. And we just created this world for ourselves where we fit in. And it didn't matter that everybody else was doing other things. And then he left. His parents moved, and he left. And I was heartbroken. And what I didn't know then, that I know now, many, many years later, is that that was just the beginning, perhaps, of my own growth as a person, my own growth as an individual who saw being coupled up with someone as power, as strength. That if I had someone like me in the world, I'd be stronger. I'd be able to handle my life. It wouldn't matter that I was different from other people because there was someone like me. So if that was the 8-year-old boy and here I am at my age, what happened in all of that time? What do we learn? How do we grow? So the title of my talk today is A Personal Love Story. Now here's the thing. It's not about a person I loved. It's not about what's out there. This song touched me not because it brought up a memory of losing a loved one or of losing a lover or someone so important to me in my life. That's not what did it. What happened inside of me when I listened to these lyrics and listened to these songs was that I think it's possible for us to lose ourselves and to try to become something that is alien to who we are, trying so hard to fit in the world, trying so hard to be someone else when who we are is perfect and okay to begin with. And who we are is always going to change, always going to grow, always going to evolve. So this title, Grow As We Go, it makes perfect sense. We are constantly growing. We're constantly changing. We're constantly moving on. Things happen that drag us to our knees. When I lost my daughter, I really did not think it'd be possible to live in a world without her. I'm still standing. I'm still here. Do I still get dragged to my knees? Yeah. Tiffany's mother sent me a video this week that put me out of commission for about an hour. And she did it because she knew I would relate to it. And it was good for me. It brought the grief up and allowed me to feel what I was feeling. But I could feel all of that as I go, as I continue to evolve. I am growing no matter what's going on. So this idea of growing as I go makes such sense to me in terms of not ever thinking that anything is going to debilitate me because I'm constantly evolving regardless, evolving through it. And heaven knows right now in our country, we are going through this. But we will grow through this, not just go through it. We're going to grow through it. Now, here's the thing. You're a choice. You can just go through it if you want. Just go through it. Or you can grow through it. And you can grow as you go, understanding that life is always going to evolve you. So the song starts with this. You say there's so much you don't know. You need to go and find yourself. You say you'd rather be alone because you think you won't find it tied to someone else. Now, I get it. The song sounds like it's about a couple, and one of them saying, I need to leave you because I need to go find myself. And this person saying, you don't need to leave me to go find yourself. I will be willing to stand here and be here with you as you find yourself. Now just take that individually to yourself. How often have we thought we had to make enormous, gigantic changes to go and find ourselves, throwing away so much of who we innately are to go find something that we had to begin with? And would it not be great for us to say to ourselves, I am willing to know the truth of who I am. I am willing to remember who I am, even as I find myself. And to get it from a spiritual context, not just some philosophical concept, but from a real spiritual, innate, intuitive knowing. I'm willing to stand here. I am willing to be with you, James, even as you evolve through this. If you can say that to yourself, now you're closer to understanding what love only means. Now you're closer to understanding what it means to live in this energy of love, no matter what is going on. Marianne Williamson said this. I know you know this quote, but I'm reading a little into it. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? Here's the thing. You are growing every day, not growing into fabulous, but as I said a few weeks ago, growing back to fabulous. You are not growing into being brilliant and successful and powerful. You are evolving your understanding of who you are. That's what's evolving. That's what's growing. Your consciousness, your mind, your willingness to accept yourself for who you are. You know, Reverend Sharon talked about talking to someone who's so despondent, and she's very correct. Helping someone remember who they are shifts the tide. It shifts the consciousness. It shifts the focus. I stop looking at all of this. I start looking at this. And I don't need, as he says in the song, I don't need to throw all the truth of who I am away because something happens that makes me question it. I need to know the truth, especially when something happens that makes me question it. To grow as I go. Stephen Covey said this, be patient with yourself. Self-growth is tender. It's holy ground. But there's no greater investment. You know, we had a rehearsal on Saturday, and Nate and Luke were there, obviously, and they stayed around afterwards, and we talked about life, their life, and my life. But when they left, I started thinking to myself, how amazing to be in your teens and understand this teaching. I didn't. Oh my God, I didn't. I had amazing talent that I took into New York and then just was like a wildfire, burning everything around me on my path. I just was like, and the truth is, the whole time I was searching for me. I was just searching for validation. I was searching for love, people to tell me I was worth it, people to fall in love with me, and I lined them up and then knocked them down out of fear. And Marianne Williamson's right. What was the fear? Not that I wasn't all that I was all that. That I really was everything I went there with. And so listening to the two of them talk and talking about their future, they've got amazing futures. But the most important future is the future where you actually stand and look at yourself and honestly know who you're looking at. And it's not about what you've accomplished. It's about who you are innately. So what I've come to understand from that little boy on Charles Street to the man that I am today is that my life is a series of love stories. And not the love stories I have with people. I can give you that lineage. It's quite long. But the love stories where I grew each time, that's the love story. The love story of the universe being with me as I went through my mother's death, as I went through losing roles that I thought were so important to me, losing partners, losing my best friend to AIDS, when at the same time I was at the peak of my career. All of the things that evolved me, they're all love stories, growing me as I go. And you too. But what's imperative is that when we can look back, we can make sense out of it. But the imperative part is, I don't want to just make sense out of what I'm looking back on. I want to make sense out of what I'm looking at, which is why I also asked you to do that. To make sense out of what you're looking at. Just don't turn away from it and fall into the jargon. What am I really looking at here? If I can see the truth, then I will grow as I go. I won't run away. I will not hide. I won't stop growing consciously as life keeps moving on. So, our theme this month is love only. Now, here's the thing. That's all that's ever going on. I mean, if we understand love to be the creative essence of the universe and an energy, then all there ever is love only. Reverend Sharon said that. Ernest Holmes said this: love is the self-givingness of the spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation. I have read that so many times, I read it at weddings. I'm going to read it one more time for you. Love is the self-givingness of the spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation. That's all really nice. And it sounds good and it feels good. But you know what? Do you really understand what he's saying? And frankly, did Ernest Holmes even understand what he was saying? Remember, he's still coming from this very Christian background. So he says things like the spirit. That's still him being stuck in religion. But what he means is love is the self-givingness of the spirit. What he means is love is that thing that energy has to do, but not love the way we're understanding love. Because he goes on to say, through the desire of life to express itself, the desire of life, with a capital L, to express itself. So love is that energetic, creative energy. And it's not a desire like you would have or I would have, because then we're just doing that anthropomorphizing of God. Oh yeah, it's that energy that has a desire to do something. No, love, the energy of creativity, doesn't have a desire to do anything. It just does. It just creates. It just evolves. That's what it is. It's who it is. It is innate. It doesn't have to think or figure it out or any of that. You do, I do, but guess what? We don't either. Because if I am that love, if I am that creativity, if I am that energy, then I do not have to work at it. I can just stand in my truth and understand and know that as I live through this, there is that in me, the self-givingness of the spirit energy that is constantly flowing, creating, moving, evolving me, regardless of whether or not I'm willing to understand it or even pay attention to it. That's what's going on there. So to express itself in terms of creation. So what does all that mean? Well, you are loving only at all times. So here we are, 10 years into this motto, 10 years into this vision statement, and now you can stop being so hard on yourself. You are loving only at all times. So there you go. You don't have to work so hard, Sharon. Oh, you don't have to work hard. But those of us that have to work hard, you don't have to work hard because you are loving only at all times, no matter what, on the universal plane. Now comes the individual Mindy plane. That means, is she on board with it? Is she actually allowing it to love only at all times? So, what do you do? Where do you alter the natural flow of the love that you are? Where do you alter it? And I guess the good question is, why do you alter it? Why do we alter this thing that naturally works for us? This thing that is growing us as we go. Why do we alter it? Well, because my mother did die when I was 19. That altered me. Because my best friend died of AIDS, and I could not understand why. Because my daughter died. And you know what? I almost walked away from that just now. I still do not understand why. And that's the perfect example for you of grow as I go. I don't know why. And I probably never will. But does that mean I'm going to stop growing? There's my chance to alter the natural flow of my evolution? No. Maybe for an hour, if someone sends me a video, I might take a detour for a minute. But no, I'm not. And neither are you, to the degree that you decide to grow as you go, no matter what, and to be involved in it. Nelson Mandela says this: there's nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged to find the ways in which you yourself have altered. There's nothing like returning to that perfect understanding of who you are, and then actually noticing, where along the way have I altered myself? Where along the way did I suddenly feel less than? Where along the way, I can tell you when I was born, when I came out, yes, I came out with a heart defect, but I didn't know that as a child. From all accounts that I've been told, especially since they called me Itchy, I was rambunctious and fun, and I danced. My family used to tell me all the time that they had no idea where all this dancing came from. I would dance on tables with, outfits on. I think I did that as an adult too. I would just dance, and I was so rambunctious and so alive. But then all of a sudden, I allowed life to alter me because I wasn't playing football. I wasn't playing baseball. I wasn't doing what all the other kids were doing. Now I'm sitting on a step going, wow, what's my life going to be? I'm so different from everybody else. Different. I'm so proud that we live in a world right now, for the most part, where different is good and unique and individual. I can't even keep up with the letters of LGBTQ, A, B, C, D. I can't keep up with them because everybody is finding their own unique way of expressing who they are, and they should. But back in my day, you were either them or weird. You were either one of them or you were different. That's what it was like. So that altered me. That altered my view of the world, and I am aware of that. So this month, as we go through Love Only Month, first thing I want you to remember and really get and work towards is that love only is already a given. You do not have to work at it being the center of your life. That's what the affirmation's all about, that I stand at the center of love only. Why? Because that's the truth. That's the way it works. On a quantum level, this creative, energized particle is constantly moving, expanding, growing. Done. You do not have to do anything about that. And that's what love truly is. The other kind of love is all about the portions of your brain that react to certain fluids that come through you because someone else has the same thing going on. And I'm not going to talk about that kind of love. It's lovely, it's great, it's fabulous, it's got passion and sexuality, it's all that's great. But the love I am talking about is that creative essence that you are that cannot be stopped. So first and foremost, get clear on that is what's going on. Your job after that is to find the ways you've altered yourself. This is the month, in our Love Only month. It's time for you to really find out, where have you altered who you are? What things have happened along the way, or what's happening right now that is altering the truth of who you are? When Reverend Sharon talked about love only, to speak from love only, I already knew what kind of conversation we were going to have because I knew where I wanted her to go. And her mind doesn't work that way because she really does come from I live love only consciousness. So your job this month is to find out, where are you altering your mind, your consciousness, your life? What has altered you that's stopping you from actually backing into the truth of who you are? Your true self, your real true self. And to understand that whoever that is, it's okay. And if you don't like something about yourself, change it. But change it back to who you are. The Chinese proverb says this, a Chinese proverb. There's one Chinese proverb. Here it is. Be not afraid of growing slowly. Be afraid only of standing still. So I think it's time for us to grow as we go, fearlessly. I look back on that little boy sitting on those steps, and I have such great love in my heart for that journey. I got a letter this week from probably the first love of my life, a man, who sent me a card, a birthday card. And in the card, he talked about, he and his brother were two of my best friends growing up in high school. And in the card, he mentioned two things. He actually has an identical twin brother. And he talked about how his identical twin brother and he were talking about me just recently, and how his brother remembered me as one of their closest friends that he always had to stick up for me because of all the bullies that made fun of me and were treating me so badly. He said, and I told him I didn't remember that because I just remember you as this fun guy that we always were laughing. We always had such a good time. And when I read that letter and I told him this, I said, actually, I know both of those guys, both of those boys. I know the boy that was bullied, the boy that was treated so different and that people made fun of. And I know the one that danced on tables and that everybody around me had a great time. I knew both of them because they grew up together. And they certainly moved to New York together. And they certainly have lived most of my life together until this philosophy stepped in and showed me who I was. Truly, that all of this out here is made up. All of this is just the demonstration of the way I use my mind. But I look back at that boy now, and I think to myself, good for you. You did grow as you go. You grew as life moved on. And each thing that came in your way, everything that blocked you or caused you to somehow question, you always got to the other side of. So that's our opportunity this month. First, to remember who we are, to remember what love is, and then especially to find the ways that we have altered ourselves. Pay attention this month to anything you put in the way of loving only. Politics, jobs, finances. Pay attention to what you put in front of who you really are. Because if you can think back to about 15, 20 minutes ago when Nate was singing, Nate is, 16, 14, you're 17, 16. Yeah, I'm doing well. Nate, there was that 14-year-old, beautiful, innocent faith, singing to someone, we can do this together. So I want you this month to look in the mirror every single day and look at that person in the mirror and say to them, we will grow as we go this whole month. We will remember who we are. I will see you for who you truly are. And when this month is done, we are going to be at a place in our lives. We are going to have opened our hearts, opened our minds, gotten such a clear understanding of who we are that we are no longer comparing ourselves to anyone or anything or any part of our past. We are embracing, we are loving only, forgiving and embracing everything. But most importantly, remembering who we are. So there's your path. You are loving only. It's a given. Time to find out what's altering my living that truth. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you next week. Namaste.